Okay, so we just got to the Bottle Lake access point, and it's a beautiful, pleasant day. This is our first canoe trip in May, so we're really excited to get out into the water. And it's probably about 12 degrees right now. So we drove to Kawartha Highlands because it's a really close backcountry trip that you can get to from Toronto. Took us 2.5 hours to drive here. And for the first trip of the season, the Bottle Lake trip here is super easy. Probably just take us an hour to paddle across the lake, and then we can set up our site and start exploring. Okay, it's always exciting when you depart from the shore and get into the lake. So this is our first canoe trip of the season, and you can see our canoes fully loaded. Since we know there's no real portages on this trip, we brought our camping chairs, we've got bug tents, I brought my SLR camera, so a few more luxuries than you might take on a big long trip. But the weather is perfect, and we're on our way to our campsite number 108 on Bottle Lake. All we have to do is paddle from one end to the other. Okay, so here we are at campsite number 108 on Bottle Lake in Kawartha Highlands. Probably took us about half an hour to paddle here from the portage. Really no problem. Now, in the pictures I saw on the site, it had a larger sand beach, but I think the water level is really high right now, this being the start of the season in spring. But nice open site here. It's facing west out onto the water, and it's at the north end of the lake. Really appreciate that the last camper left us a good portion of firewood here. You can see there's a nice bench and this picnic table. I think every site in Kawartha Highlands comes with a picnic table, which is amazing. Lots of tent pads here. Looks like there's at least 3 or 4 of them that I can see. And probably lots of good trees to hang our tarp as well, though it's not supposed to rain this weekend. Not sure where the Thunderbox is.
It's over there.
Oh, down this path? Where's the sign?
On that tree right there.
Always critical to find the Thunderbox when you get to your campsite. And there it is right there. So after getting our campsite set up, we set out exploring, and we had an Unlost.fi map that we printed from the website. So we saw this cascade just in this creek north of our campsite. So we paddled up, and it's really a lovely cascade. Got sort of all these little waterfalls and babbling brook over lots of rocks here. So we were looking at that for a while, and then we noticed that there's all these old mill ruins that are labeled on the map. So we pulled over to the left-hand shore, and there's a little portage trail that lets you get around the waterfalls area. And also you notice that if you look into the river, there's all these old mill parts, like old rusted steel, like what looks like it might have been some sort of crank or turn, and all this steel beams that have collapsed into the river now. And then we were following this marked trail just back into the woods off of the path, and we found what looks like an old gas stove there as well. And there's a lot of deer scat around too, so it looks like deer hang out in this area often, although we don't see any deer themselves right now. So it's day 2 of our trip now, and we're headed out on our day trip for the day. So we paddled through Bottle Lake and down Beaver Creek. No, not Beaver Creek, what is it? Just Bottle Creek. Okay, Bottle Lake, Bottle Creek. But now we're at this dam and there's a little portage, 50 meters, and you can see that this dam is here. And on the other side of the dam is Catchacoma Lake. So we're going to travel up to the falls that we see labeled on our Unlostify map and see what that's like. Well, we reached the end of Catchacoma Lake where we expected to find the waterfalls. And it was lunchtime, so we decided to stop at this little place by the river for mac and cheese, but it's really going downhill. By which I mean the water is flowing downriver over these amazing waterfalls that are here. We had to sort of bushwhack through the forest just a little bit to find them, but it was really a fantastic spot, so I'm glad we did. It was nice, big flat rock, allowed us to cook our lunch, enjoy a beverage, and just take in the view of this waterfall that was going down into Catchacoma, and just above us there was 2 more drops on the waterfall, so it's really just a pretty scene. So the mac and cheese wasn't bad either. We're all packed up at our site. This is our last day, so we've loaded the canoe, taken down the tents, and we're ready to go back to the access point. And I always like to leave a little bit of tinder at the fireplace for the next camper. You know, we actually found some firewood bundled for us when we came here, so I guess we're passing on the good karma and putting the tinder in there. But it's another beautiful day for our paddle back, so I feel like we've been really lucky for this spring, early spring canoe trip. But now the bugs are chasing us off the site, so I guess we'd better get going.